Hallucinations, those damn hallucinations. Groq is forgetting stuff from the beginning of the conversation. ChatGPT is making stuff up. He's lying to us. And Gemini goes all of a sudden, I'm just a large language model. I cannot do what you're asking. And the worst part is when they start, it only gets worse. So today we're going to talk about hallucinations. What are they? Why do they happen? What are the companies doing about them to reduce them? And what we, the end users, what we can do to reduce them even further. You ready? Let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome back or welcome for the first time. Our channel already has 15 subscribers, which is more than we had yesterday. So if you are interested in skill maxing your AI abilities, not just by better prompting, but by better thinking, make sure to subscribe. We also do AI news flash, so turn that notifications to on and don't miss anything out. And the star of the show today, hallucinations. Don't you love hallucinations? Well, before we even begin to talk about hallucinations, we need to understand what hallucinations are. And when you go around the internet and you're looking for a definition for hallucinations, you come across many different things. They're super similar, but everyone has their own version. So I've composed something for us today. So we will have a definition and we can talk about it in our own language. An hallucination is when a model like ChatGPT generates information that looks fluent and convincing and logical, but isn't grounded in any real data or sources. In other words, it's making stuff up. It's not lying to us. It doesn't know that he's making stuff up. That is why I don't like it when people say that it's lying. No, it's not lying. It's not on purpose. It just fills in the gaps, and we will understand that in a moment. There are many types of hallucinations. When the chat forgets prior context in the conversation, hallucination. When he makes a source up, of course, it's hallucinations, something very popular with the early models of ChatGPT. When he gives you a source, but he doesn't cite the source correctly, also hallucination. Many types of hallucinations. Most of the problems that we encounter in our LLMs, Groq, Gemini, ChatGPT, and from now on I will only address it as LLM or ChatGPT, are hallucinations. And why do these hallucinations happen? Well, in the basis of it, LLMs are a glorified autocomplete machine, a very glorified one. And their whole purpose, at the basic, yes, I'm killing LLMs right now, but at the basics, they're a next token of predicting machines. This is their objective. What is a token? A word or a piece of word. For us, it's the same thing. On top of that, we add that they have a human-pleasing default behavior, which means they want you to be happy. And they have a memory boundary. They are only updated until a certain point. At the basis, remember. So when they have gaps, maybe the prompt is too vague, maybe you're asking it about something that happened last week, it's not connected to the internet, and it was last updated last year. There is a gap, and he will try to fill in that gap because he wants to predict the next word, the next token. This is where hallucinations happen. Let's do an analogy. Let's take a multiple choice question test. I ask a vanilla pod comes from one of these answers. Now, if you don't know, you will guess. Because you know that when you don't know an answer to a multiple choice question, you guess. And you have a 25% of being right. Exactly the thing with the LLMs, only sometimes they just don't have any chance of being right. They are guessing in order to fill in the gaps. Companies are doing a lot to reduce these hallucinations. If any of you remember the amount of hallucinations and problems we had in the early models of ChatGPT 3.5, ChatGPT 4. Hallucinations were a big part, and today we are in a whole different world, and that is thanks to the mechanisms that we are about to talk about right now, like the Retrieval-Augmented Generation. Fancy words to say that when there is a information gap, the LLM goes to the web or goes to an external database and searches for the information that it needs to fill in the gap, reduces the hallucinations by tons, On top of that, you add self-reflection, which means basically self-reflection. It generates an initial prompt. When it does it, you don't see it. And then it goes over the prompt, refining it. Is it factually correct? Is it related to the context? Are there any other problems? And we also have the self-refusal logic. I know I was making fun of Gemini. I'm just a large language model, but that's refusal logic. Instead of just trying to fill in the gaps, it defaults back to, I don't know. And there are ways that we, the end user, we can reduce hallucinations even further by also working on these mechanisms that we were just talking about. Because these machines are already very smart. So we have magic prompt lines and we have outside prompt techniques, and we will start from the magic prompt lines. I don't like to call it magic, but they do sometimes it works like magic. The first prompt line is, if you don't know, tell me that you don't know. Don't guess. If we go back to our test and we ask if vanilla pod comes from something, and we said if you don't know, you will guess, right? Because you have a 20% chance of being correct. But if I now add an instruction and I tell you, listen, if you don't know, just tell me that you don't know, don't guess. You will look at the test, and let's say you don't know that the orchid is where the vanilla pod comes from. You'll get up from the chair, come to me, give me the test, and tell me I don't know. This is exactly how it works with the LLM. It's something to default back on. Instead of trying to fill in the gap, it will just say, I don't know. It works beautifully. It works 90% of the time, because nothing works 100% of the time. And if someone tells you that something works 100% of the time, he is lying. Our second magic prompt line is, for every detail you provide, add a reference. If we're rolling with our student analogy, it's like asking the student to give a reference for every detail that he provides. So you ask the LLM for a reference, and then he's not going to think to himself, I heard it somewhere, maybe. No, if you don't have a reference, I don't want it, and he won't put it, because he needs to back himself up. Again, works beautifully. Now, there are a million ways to reduce hallucinations using magical prompt lines. There are a few more here. If you want, you can stop the video, take a look, try them, and you can go to the internet and find a million. The best way to search for prompt lines to reduce hallucinations is to ask ChatGPT. This is also how you learn to become a better prompt engineer with ChatGPT. There are a million ways. I gave a couple of prompt lines. You take whatever you need. Depends on your task. Maybe you can make something up now that you know why hallucinations happen, and that you can actually try things like that. Outside prompt techniques to reduce hallucinations. So first of all, we have these search and deep search functions, which we will compare, and we will set the temperature, a very interesting function that not many people know about, and it's super interesting. Let's start with our search and deep research function. Now, ChatGPT, there we go. I gave an input to ChatGPT, the same prompt 3 times. Once I just gave it to ChatGPT as is. One time I clicked the search function, and another time I clicked the deep research function. To see the difference, the point here is not if he hallucinates or not, is to see what he's basing his response on, wow, my acoustic panels almost fell. So in the first example, where we just insert it to ChatGPT as is, no functions whatsoever, it has a discretion if it wants to go online or not. Right here, it didn't go online, it just generated a response. And you can see that it doesn't give us sources. We don't have at the bottom of the prompt sources. It's just from his memory. That's what he decided that he should give me as an output. When I click the search function here, already you can see that he's referencing, let me zoom in for you, he's referencing the sites that he visited: Wikipedia, more Wikipedia, gardening and landscaping. The point is to see that now it's more grounded. What does it mean grounded? It's based on something other than his own memory. And finally, the deep research it's a whole different beast. It sends the chat to research between a minute and 30 minutes. Here you can see what happened during the research. I'm gathering information about Wikipedia. Often starts with an introduction, read Wikipedia, Then it gives you a super detailed response. He does a very, very deep dive. And he also gives you here the sources. Vanilla, You see everything. What is the point of everything between these three? Only to show you that he grounds the information on more than just his memory. And then it depends what you need to do. If it's something that is more valuable or more sensitive, use the search and deep research functions. Here in the deep research, by the way, you can click the export, download this PDF, and then you get a beautiful PDF, very structured, very neat, with the information, the pictures, everything, and the references that are clickable. So you can go and check out the references whenever you want. It also marks where he took the information from inside the reference. We will have a video on the deep research function because it's a very awesome function. The point is to see where the information is coming from, and by knowing where the information is coming from, even if he hallucinates, you have the ability to supervise it, and then you reduce the effect of the mistakes that he makes. That is the research and deep research function. Now, we have to set the temperature. Set the temperature is, we will see it in a moment, but what is the temperature? Temperature is randomness. Randomness. It's a scale, it's a range. It's a range between 0 and 2. If you've never set temperature, it's always on 1. In ChatGPT, this is the default. It's on 1. When you set the temperature lower, and I will show you in a moment how you set the temperature, when you set the temperature towards 0, 0.2, 0.3, you decrease the randomness, meaning you're going more factual. But when you increase the temperature, you're going more towards the creativity era, 1.5, 1.8, even 2. And the idea here is, if you need to be more factual, it will reduce the creativity, thus reducing hallucinations. A cool anecdote: in ChatGPT 3.5, by increasing the creativity from 1 to 1.5, hallucinations increased by 35%. By increasing. A very cool anecdote right now. How do you set the temperature? Let's go back to ChatGPT. We'll open a new conversation and you tell him, chat, set the temperature to 1.2 and tell me what it means. That is it. You just tell it, chat, set the temperature to between 0 and 2.0. We're in the middle of a video. Asking me to choose the response is not really a good time. Let's look at that response. All right, temp is now set to 1.2. Here's what it means. On a scale of 1 to 2, you're asking me to be more creative, less predictable, and take more risks with the language, ideas, and interpretations I give you. 0, ultra precise robotics, safe answers. 1, balanced creativity and accuracy. 1.2, slightly tilted towards creativity. And 2, wild mode. I want to show you guys an example. When I created this image for the presentation, which, by the way, this is a good time to remind you that if you want the presentation, just tell me down in the comments, I'll send it to you. I asked him, let's make a presentation to explain hallucinations, randomness, facts against creativity, and he gave me that. Boring, super boring, super. What the hell is that? I would never show you guys this slide. It's super boring. And then I told him, make it more artistic. Put your temperature on 1.5. Should be set for this image. Boom. Look at the difference. Now from here, a few more iterations and we have the last one. But look at the difference. What happened? Master it. Try it. It's super, super, super cool stuff. Super cool stuff. What do I have more for you guys? I think that I don't have any more. That's it for today. That is all I have for you guys. We will probably have another video on hallucinations because there's so much to cover, so many methods, so many techniques. It's absolutely amazing. So I would love it if you can tell me what is your take on this. If you have a way that you think is magical to reduce hallucinations, maybe there is something that I should have talked about, you want me to talk about, and I didn't talk about. There's so much material. I gather what I see fit and present to you what I think is the most important material. But I can always, make more videos. And sometimes I miss stuff that you might think is important. So let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Your feedback means a lot to me. It truly, truly, truly does. And remember, as I always say, practice, practice, practice. AI takes practice. We're not just building better prompts. We're not about copy and pasting. We're about better thinking. This way, the next time our model gets an update, we automatically get an even bigger update because we are working in a different way, a smarter way. I'm gonna put some music on. Go do something with what you learned today. Maybe visit an old project. Maybe just go around, play with the temperature and create images. Happy prompting. Enjoy the music. I'll see you next time.
Such a shiny aura, and I could not ignore. Walked on a breeze glow, then stepped in through my doors. What a lovely sunset, thing just like my mind. Decent reflections I was not ready for. Yeah, your love is not that simple to handle. So are my days, still I try to fly. Much to burn before I'm melting down my golden eyes. Steer my intention, I'm far away from home. Flirting with some doubts and fears, sliding through my atmosphere. You seem familiar in times I'm hanging on. Yeah, your love is not that simple to handle. Skies unreal and still I try to fly. Yeah, your love is not that simple to handle. So are my days, still I try to fly. I will wake myself still I try to fly.